On a quiet night, in the corner of a dusty, unfinished notebook, a story was born, but it wasn't written yet. It had no name, no characters, no beginning, and certainly no end. There was just a single blinking cursor on a blank screen, a silent pulse in the dark, patiently waiting. This little story, formless and voiceless, was an observer. It listened as people walked past the writer's desk, their lives echoing in the room. It heard their laughter, felt the weight of their dreams, and sensed the sharp sting of their hurt. A strange feeling began to stir within its empty lines, feeling a lot like jealousy. How do they get to live so vividly while I'm trapped here, a ghost between these empty pages? It wondered. The world outside felt so real, so full of color, and the story felt like a forgotten secret. One night, the writer finally returned. They sat down with a heavy sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the entire day. Their fingers hovered over the keyboard, and then they wrote the first sentence. In that instant, the story took its first breath. It was a strange, exhilarating sensation. With every new word that appeared on the screen, the story grew a heartbeat, faint at first, then stronger and steadier. With every paragraph, it learned about emotion. It discovered love in the description of a stolen glance across a crowded room. It felt the ache of pain from a goodbye that was never truly said, and it found hope, resilient and bright, in a promise whispered in the dark. The story was realizing something truly magical. It wasn't just being told, it was becoming. It was learning what it meant to be alive. But then, just as it was starting to feel whole, the writer stopped. The cursor blinked once, twice, and then the screen went dark. Days turned into weeks. A fine layer of dust settled on the closed notebook. The story began to feel a chill. Its vibrant letters started to tremble, and the edges of its world grew fuzzy, as if it were fading back into nothingness. Fear, cold and absolute, gripped it. The fear of disappearing, of being forgotten forever. Desperate, the story did the only thing it could. It reached out. It poured all its unwritten hopes, its unshed tears, its unspoken love into the silence, calling out to the one person who could save it. When the writer finally opened the notebook again, they weren't sure what compelled them. As they stared at the last sentence they had written, a single tear fell from their eye, smudging the ink on the page. They didn't understand why they were crying, only that they felt an overwhelming pull, a sense of urgency, as if the story itself was calling to them, begging to be finished. A sudden wave of inspiration washed over them, and they began to write. They wrote through the night, fueled by a passion they hadn't felt in ages. The words flowed effortlessly, each one a perfect piece of the puzzle. They wrote until the first light of sunrise painted the sky in shades of pink and gold. And when the final line was written, when the last period was placed, the story smiled. It was complete. It was real. And in that moment of completion, it understood the ultimate truth. Stories don't just live on paper or on a screen. Their real home is in the hearts of those who read them, in the minds that imagine them, and in the souls that are touched by them. A story truly lives when it is shared. And somewhere right now, on another blank page in another quiet room, a new story is holding its breath, just waiting for someone like you to help it be born. Thanks for listening. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales from the heart. See you next time.